Okay, guys. So this is a little presentation of this event that actually is a proposal to make a proposal together, so we can approach all together to something more clear about the foundation for the dance. So the proposal that we make from Shaper Song is just to have two calls that. The first one is happening today, and the other call would be next Sunday. So we can just today like express all together what we want to do all together, and then on the other meetup we can actually share our let's say official proposals for the foundation. That is actually an approach. I mean, this is not like dictatorship. We're not going to dictate the foundation of cutting shapes. The original idea is to have an approach all together, so we can agree on what we think about what is the foundation for the dance. So let's go. So yeah, a lot of you will remember that we had a lot of calls in 2024, and one of the main things that we talk about was this about the foundation for cutting shapes, that it is not written, it is not there is no consensus for the foundation. So yeah, we identified this problem. I mean, a lot of people think about this before 2024, but we all together as communities, we started to think more consciously about this. So yeah, it's already 2026, and we don't have actually nothing like in consensus. So I think we all agree that this is a negative thing, especially for the next generations and the people that want to learn this dance. So yeah, that's actually why we are here. So again, would be great that we as the different communities that are around the world, we can just make an approach for the foundation, so we can collaborate for it. So yeah, this is happening today. So as we said before, we can make some kind of initial proposals for the foundation. We can exchange ideas, make constructive feedback, and we can all together make a better preparation for a formal presentation. So it can be next day, of course, the 8th of March 8th. But anyways, we can do more calls, and we can even do it in other platforms or whatever, because I mean, even if it is like a proposal from us, it doesn't mean we have to do it here in this server. We can do it in other kind of different, I don't know, Discord channel or other platform, whatever. So for the next day, the next day can be the formal session for it, and to really have an approach as different communities. So this is the new thing that I haven't said before. The idea also is to really like build some kind of federation, like we all together here can build a different collective. I don't know, it can be called, I don't know, Cutting Shapes International, whatever. The point is that we all together um, build something, right? So as a new collective, I think we think we should like establish some specific responsibilities that we can exchange now and have a discussion about it. So so yeah, that's the idea about this strategic objectives. So this is our proposal, right? If you have other proposals of about everything I've said, it would be great that you can, of course, say it. So we also propose that like two people from different communities can be like their representatives for these special calls about the foundation. So like it's written here, like each community, collective, or crew even can choose two active representatives, and also create like a way of voting these representatives, so everybody knows who who are voting, not who they voted, but who are voting. So who is selected and who selected these representatives. So so yeah, the representatives will only just like be the speaker of their specific community and the main active participants in the meetings. It doesn't mean that everybody cannot talk. I mean, everybody can talk and everybody just can say whatever. The amount of time they want to talk about something. So we have to select. Imagine this federation or this kind of calls. We are, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 people. So it would be great that there are different representatives for communities. So it's not like very chaotic. Again, this is our proposal, so we can discuss about all of this. And as I said, like our platform is perfectly ready for this, but we can do these talks in whatever other platform. So yeah, that's all. I think I don't miss anything. So this is like the introduction for the call. So from now, it's just about to talk, exchange, and discuss about everything. So this is done. I'm gonna just quit this. All right, so that was the introduction. Do you agree with this? Do you have ideas, different ideas?
When I can say something, so I'm not a shaper here, I'm a shuffler, and but I'm also writing a book, by the way, and investigating the history of cutting shapes too. But I would suggest one or two people from the shape scene here in Germany. But I was so curious that I joined the call too, and also did my observations since 2 or 3 years now. So I hope my opinion is also valid too, even if I don't have the fully understanding of the stance. But I think observation is also valid for it. Um, so first, what I have seen most of the time when shapers are dancing is the most used move was the Charleston. Um, in every different kind of energy or dynamic, the Charleston was one of these moves that everybody's doing in shapes. Bernan is doing that, Mark Torres is doing that, Nobi is doing that, Siku is doing that, and all the people, they are really into the stance. What I have seen too, and maybe this is a split opinion, I'm not sure. It's about the crisscross. It's like an pattern or like a tool what you use too, but even this in different dynamics and energy. Um, so when I would say foundations or basics, for example, of cutting shapes, I would go first of all with the Charleston. So that is my observation from it. Um, Also, you have the W step, the scissors, and so on. But I think these are more tools or like movements that you practice later if you getting a proper understanding of the dance. It's like by us in shuffle, you all know that with Runningman and T-step, it doesn't make sense if you learning other movements if you have, I would not say a poor technique, but a lack of understanding of the basics in general. So you need to fix the understanding a bit that you understand, okay, I can work with the running man like this, I can use the room, I can make the running man bigger, even for the T step, which is very common for traveling. Bernard and me talked about also the running man and T step that shapes has also these kind of movements. But when I'm correct, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bernard, that also the dynamics and the execution of these steps are different compared to, let's say, regular Melbourne Shuffle, Miles, Brazilian Miles, even Russia or Kali, or like what I call the own style, where you putting your own character and your own personality into your style, that you have your own style, so literally your own style, which cannot be copied and pasted by some people. But to come back to the topic, yeah, I would say the Charleston is the first move which I every time see it by every person. And I would also say the crisscross, but I'm not sure about the crisscross, how much important is the crisscross as a foundation or as a basic. So you have more knowledge or more to say about that. But yeah, that's all about what I have to say right now. So I will give the key to the next person.
You can I talk for a bit? Well, I want to share a few things with you all. But first of all, thank you so much, Bernard, and everyone who did this conversation. I think it's really important to do something together and agree at some point, discuss about many things and many topics. I think we're in a time that we have to develop this style for the next generations, like Bernard said. So I will start also with a bit of history of the cutting shapes, because we have to remember that it's not the same shapes that like in my case I will speak with my crew about my crew, but when we started we get inspired by UK dancers, and for me it's very important to understand the background of how everything started. It was a clubbing movement in the UK. It was born with the deep tech and deep house, the golden era. So like how they move in the clubbing and how they did the cutting shapes back then, I think it's pretty different from the social movement that then happened and the movement of cutting shapes. So that's really important because we have to aim what's the cutting shapes nowadays and the evolution of it, because the foundations, let's say the foundations back then from the UK looks different. Also the groove, how they move, it's really different from Spanish, I would say, style that we develop the other ones from the USA and then Latin America and then Russia. Like I think that there's many differences from the original one and the one that we see nowadays in competitions and on media. So first I would point that we came from this background where it's freeform, where it's potting, people actually don't care about the steps, they just dance with the music. But when this movement, exploded worldwide and it became something, it became a movement, then is when the people, the culture, us, community, is when we have to set up and bring the people how we can expand this dance style with vocabulary, with foundations, with everything. So I want to make this point about that. It changed a bit from our influences. Like when I started dancing, I got influenced by Simon Bowles, Dom Simpson, Cassidy, that they're not like kind of dancers at all. Like for example, Dom Simpson, yes, he's a dancer, but he was like more like a hip hop then. He focused more into hip hop, but he wasn't in the pure movement. And I had many discussions with many dancers from the UK that they started and from many, many other countries. So first thing first, the background is that it's a clubbing dance, free form. But then what it changed everything, I think, is more or less how it expanded through social media. I think that's what changed everything because it made it accessible for a lot of people. And I think here's the point when also the confusion about terminologies. But just focusing this conversation about foundations, if I go back to the UK, like it comes everything from the groove. With the groove, I mean that when they were putting the steps, first they started with the groove because the background was different. They were in a party clubbing. And so they were moving and then adding some steps. Some of them were crisscross, happy feet. You already know that all of them are footwork. But the conversation here is what makes cutting shapes? Because there's many footworks. Like, yeah, the Running Man, it's true. Like, even we have the Running Man in the cutting shapes, we're not doing the Running Man as other shuffle styles, not even like the hip hop. Because if not, like, if Running Man makes the cutting shapes or Running Man makes the shuffle, everyone will, like every hip hop dancer would be a shuffler, and that's not it, So it's also how we execute the steps and with the music, because I think the music is also the most important thing, and because we dance to the music, and we're just expressing with the movement what we're doing with it. So for me, the most important thing is about that we're like more like a house music movement. As I said, it started in the UK with the deep tech and deep house, and then we evolved into more the future house and other variations like bass house and generally like electronic music, but these kind of different variations of house, So for me, the foundations, when it started the social media movement, it's when it expanded more like I would say not the Spanish style, but a mix of, Spanish, USA. It's true that also in USA they were mixing a lot, more than in Spain. And I will talk just about the experience. When I started with Anderson, with Guerrero, with Sigo, with all my crew, dance crew, literally we have no idea what we're actually doing, I really know the name of the steps, but we kind of understand the vibe, of how the UK were moving. So long story short, because I don't have too much time, that's why I started talking, because I want to share with you, and I would love to be more time, but I don't have enough time today. Maybe in the next one I will join, or if you record this, I will watch it. But for me, the foundations that we have, first of all, is like, not about the steps, like a foundation is the micro bouncing, the hoping that we have, that's when everything is born for us, And then we have many footworks, like the Charleston, yes, but the Charleston, for example, not the basic Charleston we have. We have a different kind of Charleston. Also, when we're doing Charleston variations and all of this, the la fluideza, I don't know how to say it in English right now, but the flow that we have, transitioning with the steps, with many others like Charleston, crisscross, B-step, happy feet, Swizzers, coattail, blah, blah, with all these steps is what makes us the flow. So foundations, I like saying it like now louder in my mind. For me, it would be the Running Man, but not the basic Running Man. For me, it's the X Running Man, diagonal Running Man, call it whatever. That's for me a step that we use a lot. Charleston variations, the happy feet, the Swizzers. Mainly the Swizzers will have a ton of variations with the Swizzers, with the coattail, the W step. We use a lot the top rocks as well, like the Indian step, kickball chains. We use a lot toe taps, and many other kicks, for example. That's more like essence, because we use also kick, slides, jumps, spins, locks, whatever. But for me, we have this main, I would say, from 6 to 8, 9, 10 footworks that when you do it, you're cutting shapes. So I don't know if it makes sense. I will repeat again, but basically, Running Man variations, Charleston, crisscross, B-step, happy feet, Swizzers, coattail, W step, Indians like top rocks in general, toe taps, Also the cowboy or the London Bridge. I don't know exactly the name because there's many names for it. And other steps that we use the kick and yeah, basically more or less is, for me, when I saw cutting shapes, I saw most of the part, these steps, but also transitioning, doing variations and keeping the flow and keeping these microbonds and hoping. So that's for me, what I share with you, that's how I see the cutting shapes. And of course we have the T-step, yes, but T-step is a footwork, we can add it to it. And there's many, many other footworks. So I would not consider as a foundation because we have T-step and Charleston are like family steps. So that's why for me, we have more like the Charleston variations that also, leads to kind of T-stepping. But I would say that in currencies, you can do any footwork, if you go with the beat and double tempo, but that's for me how I share and how I see the current shapes. So yeah, I just want to share this with you all. If you have something to say, I'm here to listen. So I have a few more minutes. So thank you so much for listening.
Okay, guys, so do somebody want to talk about?
Yeah, I want to say something in Spanish. Sorry, Lotus. Yo lo que quiero preguntar sobre, o sea, la misión de esto es, las foundations se van a basar en cómo y cuándo empezó el estilo de baile, lo que ha dicho Mark, o también vamos a tener en cuenta cómo ha evolucionado y a lo que es a día de hoy. Si alguien puede responderme eso.
Yeah, I would like to say something. I don't know if you hear me.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that we should do like a mix because what Mark told about the past, about when we come from, the style, but nowadays it changed like social media and I think every country is developing their own way to understand cutting shapes. So I think it have to be a mix of understanding where we come from and what we are now. So when we, for example, let's say before this call, I was talking with Jose Siku that for me the happy feet, not just the essence. Let's talk about the step. For me, the happy feet maybe in the OGs in UK they were using a lot the happy feet, but nowadays I don't see that much people, or even in my style I don't use it. So I think that I'm maybe still a shaper without using this specific step, and the difference is because in the past there was people using it and now there's people that is not using it. So I think there's some steps that it happens this, that how we understand nowadays the cutting shapes, like having less groove, having less things, that what we come from, it changed a lot. So that's the reason I think that we have to see the past and also the present.
Yeah, when I can say something about it, um, when it comes to foundations and dancing, I'm speaking in general of dancing. Of course, a dance develops, and when we look back to the history, not everyone, no, every dance doesn't look the same like in the beginning. It's by hip hop, it's by crumb, it's by popping, it's by locking. So we see that. But when it comes to foundations, I'm talking strictly about these things that everyone is using, or like let's say the first two moves that you need to learn when you start to learn the dance. Of course, we cannot ignore the music, where it comes from, because the music is also the connection to the dance. For every kind of dance, so there's a specific genre where you are more identified to the dance. That this is true. But again, what I mean is when you learn a dance or start learning a dance style, every dance has like, let's take hip hop. If you know how to rock and to bounce, you have the half of the rent, because these are the things that you build on also other things. When it comes to crump, you have the stomps, you have the chest pop, for example. So like if you have these things, then you also can learn in other things. But it's like, again, all these moves that you learned in the beginning, it doesn't change. But how the dance is developed later, that changes, but not the, let's say, the movements or the steps that you learned in the beginning. Of course, dance is not just stepping at all. The dance is also the connection to the people, also where it comes from, like the club culture, rave culture, but also the music in general. So these are three things that are combined together, and it's also proven if we go to a party or like a rave. Let's take the example Rasmatas. We go to a party there. We feel most comfortable as a dancer, so as a shuffler or as a shaper, if we performing in the club, because it is our home. Let's say that we dancing on the street is like people were youth. People did not have the opportunity to go to the clubs. They went to the street because that was the only opportunity, or in studios, in dancing studios. But when I looked also in the past to shuffle, we also went just to the clubs, or let's say our ancestors in Melbourne. They were only in clubs, performing in clubs to be for themselves. What I've also heard, by the way, maybe you agree, maybe disagree, is I'm in contact also with many persons, also from the shuffle scene, and someone sent me a screenshot where one guy from the UK said the term of cutting shapes was described in the past as that someone is dancing pure freely in the disco, like, hey, this guy's cut some shapes. It was just like an adjective or a word to describe what the guy or what the lady is doing at this moment.
Let me add
Um,
something, Lotus, to this. Cut some shapes, shape shifting. It was an expression like basically move your feet, cut those shapes. It was an expression in the clubbing, In Spain, we have a expression that is sacarte los prohibidos, basically the forbidden steps. It was kind of at that time, because also we have to remember that there was a social context back then, and they were using a lot the cut those shapes, cut some shapes, So it's an expression kind of throw the moves, to the dance floor, and also referring to the movement of the arms while you're dancing, because back then they also refer shuffling to the footwork and then shapes to what they were doing meanwhile they were dancing. So I just wanted to add this.
okay, got it, thanks. But yeah, overall, what I said in the beginning, every dance style who was created had steps or like movements that, when we have beginners, that they need to learn it. They must have movements. If you don't have these movements, your career as a dancer or your journey as a dancer will be more difficult. So it's like, again, if I take the example with hip hop, if you don't know how to rock and bounce, you have more difficulties to learn hip hop, because both of these things are really important to build on everything later what you want to combine, even with how to pop and popping, or how to lock and locking, or whatever. But when we talk to foundations, or when we're speaking about foundations, that we have movements that, as I said, that nothing changed, but how you develop the dance is like in a way of how you feel the dance. So that's my point of view.
So I want to add another thing about this. This last month I was doing my own research and also like practicing by myself. Um, and one of the things I realized is that watching the OGs in UK, they have this big, I don't know how to say, like this essence of grooving that I think that you just can't develop in the clubs of UK and watching other dancers. So in the moment in Spain, we try to do some tutorials and some video tutorials about the footwork, not the groove. I think we completely lose the essence. So now, when I was analyzing this new style, these new cutting shapes, I realized that we don't have, or I think most of the people that call themselves cutting shapes or shapers, they don't have a groove. They just have these micro bounds, and then when you see other dancers, for example, I don't know, Melbourne Shuffle, okay, you can add some things, but just the movement of micro bounce, there's a other step, even a free step, they have these micro bounce. So I had this discussion that if you go to hip hop, the bounce is foundations because, as you said, Lotus, you really need that to develop the style. But if our microbounce is our groove, it's, I don't know how to say, like it's hard to make it unique. So I think it should be something more in our groove to create a unique essence, not just the microbounce. But maybe some of us that we try to develop the style create a different groove, but not coming from the clubs, just like by me, by listening in our headphones, the tech house, deep tech house, any different genres of house. And then there's people that is trying to develop the cutting shapes just listening techno, and the groove that they are creating is different. It's completely different because the music changed that. So I have this discussion at this like problem in my mind that, okay, if we want to have a foundations and a specific groove, what should be this groove? Because I think social media literally break this groove in our style that UK people had, and nowadays we don't have.
Answering to Siku question, I think we should take care of different versions, like actual way of dancing in shape, so the evolution and the future evolution, and also, of course, the roots of the dance. So I will take in consideration different ways of dancing and evolution for in shapes. So, anybody want to talk or answer the Siku's first question? So, Siku, can you repeat the question?
Sí, mi pregunta es, cuando vamos a hablar de los foundations, ¿nos basaremos solo en dónde nació el estilo, en cómo creció el estilo, o también cómo ha evolucionado y lo que hemos ido añadiendo?
¿Escuchan bien? ¿Me escucha bien?
Sí, sí.
Sí.
Bueno, esto es una opinión ya, ¿no? Porque yo no bailo el baile. Pero supongo que si ustedes tienen información suficiente como para decidir ahora, que es más o menos ya la evolución, las personas que están presentemente y activamente bailando, supongo que si ya tienen suficiente información podrían ya marcar cuáles son las foundations y así todo el mundo tendría ya como, ya en papel, escrito cuáles son efectivamente. Ese es mi punto de vista, ¿no? Este, eso es lo que pienso que podría ser bien ahorita en el futuro y para el futuro también. Eso, ya termino.
Yo creo que, a ver, pueden estar principalmente las foundations de cómo nació el estilo, ¿no? Eh, y no sé si la posibilidad de quizá subestilos de cómo está desarrollado en X sitio del mundo, ¿no? No tienen que ser necesariamente las mismas, pero sí que viene de lo mismo. No sé qué opinan.
Exactamente.
Pero las principales, yo creo que van a ser, creo yo, de dónde nace y cómo nace.
Estoy de acuerdo.
Es que estuve hablando con Ander sobre esto y ahora seguramente me dejé algunos nombres, pero estoy de acuerdo con lo que dijo Mark, de que la parte más importante de cómo nace nuestro estilo es en el microbouncing, el microbounce y sobre todo el artwork que aplicaban dentro de este microbounce, ya empezando a aplicar pasos como el Running Man, el W-Step o hasta ayer, hablando con Daniel Roura, que creo que aún no ha entrado a la llamada, iba a entrar.
Sí que estoy, sí que estoy, sí que estoy, sí que estoy.
Vale, vale,
Estoy,
ok,
sí,
ok.
sí que estoy, sí que estoy.
Surgió un nuevo nombre que yo no había escuchado en mi vida, que es una variación de otro estilo, de otro paso de baile, que es Turkey Trots. Y es un paso que se implementaba muchísimo, bueno, se sigue implementando cuando vas a un club de Londres. Y podéis hacer vuestra búsqueda de ese paso de baile y vais a ver que sí que puede formar parte.
¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo
¿Lo
se llama?
puedes escribir,
¿Puedes
please?
escribirlo? Sí.
Sí.
Ahí está. Bueno, esto no me quiero lucrar de eso. Daniel Roura fue la persona que me lo dijo, pero quería añadirlo.
Que es flow pollito, algo así. Suena algo así.
Bueno, es como... Lo entendía yo como una variación del Running como deslizando la pierna hacia detrás, pero realmente es otro paso.
Vale. A ver.
Es el
Yo
paso
tengo
que
una
expliqué
pregunta.
ayer en la workshop.
Yo
Hostia.
tengo una pregunta. ¿El armwork de cutting tiene un nombre o se llama así? Armwork.
Es que el nombre nace a raíz de cortar formas con los brazos.
Sí, sí. Ok, ok. Entonces, si van a sacar, o sea, si hay una foundation escrita, vamos a decir, para enseñar o cualquier cosa, ¿cómo la llamarían?
Sí.
No,
Sí.
Yo quiero hablar antes de irme, que voy a entrar al trabajo ahora.
Dale.
Más que nada eso, para ayudar. Yo creo que os tenéis que centrar en buscar qué es lo que en ese momento de las raíces no se ha perdido, qué es lo que sigue habiendo allí, porque al final es normal que se cambien los
Es-
estilos y evolucionen y todo.
antes lo que ha
Pero
dicho es que se han perdido varias cosas y una de ellas creo que se ha perdido el artwork. O sea, cuando pasó a evolucionar ya parte europea, por decirlo así, nos fijamos demasiado en el footwork y en la técnica y perdimos todo ese microbounce. Bueno, el microbounce lo seguimos
los
manteniendo, pero no con el mismo
está
groove.
Pero está Guerrero, por ejemplo, que sé que hacía su armwork, en verdad, ¿no? Y yo veo artwork.
Sí, porque había, sí,
Well,
se inspiraba en
so
Don Simpson.
No,
yeah,
no veo que se perdiera del todo, ¿no? O sea, al final, por ejemplo, un ejemplo así muy claro en el Shuffle. El Russian, por ejemplo, al principio como que recibió mucho hate porque decían que no tenía t-step apenas y que eso no era Shuffle porque no había t-step, pero después se vio que sí que había, aunque no era lo que predominaba. ¿Me explico? Que a lo mejor no tenéis que ser tan estrictos en plan, no, no, como ya no se hace o no se hace tanto, pues ya no es. ¿Me explico?
Ujú.
can I add something here? So
Y yo me voy,
I
¿vale?
think I think that if we talk about fundamentals, what is the foundation of the style? I think that okay, maybe in UK they were doing something, but if now we said, imagine the foundations of UK are this, but we are just like this opinion is based from the videos, but there's anyone from you, I don't know, maybe it's someone in UK in this call, but we are just like assuming that there are the foundations because we saw it in a video, but in this call there's anyone that can prove this. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So it's like, okay, let's say the foundations that the original one from UK, but we lose the arm work, we lose some of the steps, we lose the groove. So then we can't call ourselves shapers because we don't have the groove, we don't have the same artwork. So that's the problem, that if you just focus on the UK OGs, we can't call ourselves cutting shapers. So that, I think that's one of the biggest problem.
All right, so I have something to say here, which is that if we want to establish what we can consider as foundation, we have to go back. But what happens if we go back when they didn't even call it a foundation? So, in order to reply what Jose asked is, yes, we have to consider both parts, because if we go back, these people in the UK didn't even consider our dance as a dance style. We are the ones who are putting the effort there. So that's why we should do it. And even if things have changed, we still come from that. And maybe you can consider essence that microbounds, or even as a foundational aspect, the fact that the Mr. Shapes and Shape Cutters Incorporated wanted to bring back what Foot Patrol did back in the 80s as a foundational aspect. And these are just things that you have to add to the equation.
Yeah, I would like to add that when we talk about different steps, we can talk about whole vocabulary, that different steps that we use, and also the most essential ones that actually I think should be the first steps that were there to identify the style. So a full vocabulary, and also apart the different like techniques or different parts of the foundation, not just the vocabulary or not just one step, but the vocabulary and then other technique aspects of the movement. That, for example, you all talk about micro bounce, but actually this terminology I've never heard before in all the dance styles, and I actually don't know where this terminology comes from. I think it's referred to double bounce in other dance styles. So maybe just discussion about this terminology can be also great, and different more things, of course. But yeah, maybe somebody here know about this terminology of microbounce and what it's referred to.
Well, what I know about microbounce is that it's like a T step, but you are doing the same T step by tiny, like it's a tiny jump. I have a video that I sent to Cloud because Cloud wanted to know exactly what it means, like what is the difference between the two, and I sent her a quick example. I mean, I didn't have too much space, but if there's some place that I can send it, maybe it will help. But basically, microbounce is a T step. Well, in my technique or way to do it, it's like a easier way to move around in our side. I mean, you can move with the T step for sure, but you can travel even more comfortable by not jumping. That's an exaggeration, but micro jumping. So we put it as a micro bounce to, make it more clear. But that's what I have as an information from this.
So when I can throw something here, I have, for example, asked the local crumpers here in Berlin if they heard anything about this term, and they said most of them said never heard of the term. One of them said he sees that, but he was not sure if does have a name for it. What I understand about microbouncing is a similar vision to Angel. It's like you can making things moving smoother, but it's not just only from a T-step, in my opinion. It's, depending on all the steps that you're giving, like, and let's say an extra touch that it looks smoother, like butter, let's say. Um, in shuffle, for example, so I've been dancing since 13 years of shuffle. Um, I have never heard the term microbouncing since last year or 2024. And when I've heard that, it came from the US people. There were one teacher, and she shows something about the microbounce, how you can use it. And I understand this as like Bernard told about double bounce, what many dancers has, like an up bounce or a dub bounce. And I understand a little bit the microbouncing as a kind of pattern of vibration, but it's not vibration at all. I don't know if you get it, but it's like you're hopping faster on one position before you adding, for example, materials or tools.
I want to add something here. This is something I was discussing with Dasa. I check if he's in the call, but he's not. I think he's not here, right? Okay, so I will say what we were discussing. That maybe this vibration that Lotus was saying. I think maybe the term could be like this hoping, but I have never heard before this micro bounce. I don't know where I take from this, but when I was talking with Dasa in Colombia, he said that in cutting shapes we can have micro bounce. It should be a bounce because in hip hop they have the bounce, and when you think about bounce, you think about hip hop bounce. But in our style, if we don't think about other style, just our style, the hoping is or bounce, and then say micro bounce is a bad way to call this effect of the vibration. So I don't know if this my I also think about this.
In my opinion, if there is other terminology that already exists to understand the technique, maybe should be called that way. So in other dance styles, it's called like double bounce, hip hop, and different dances of Africa, Afro dances, street dances. So double bounce, for me, in my opinion, will be the most accurate and correct term for it to understand it. And also you were talking about hopping, that in my opinion, and when we were talking here as Shaper Sound Collective, the people here, so I think that microbounce, so referring to double bounce, it's different from hopping. So hopping would be like making like little jumps, double tempo normally, and that doing hopping means that you are double bouncing, but not necessarily should be the other way. Like double bouncing doesn't mean you have to hop. I don't know if I explain it well so you can understand.
Everyone hears me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I'm not sure if I can consider myself shaper, but I wanted to add some topic that I think it's so important to every dance, and it's about identity. Because I think you already told that it's not the same the cutting shapes from UK and the cutting shapes nowadays, but I think you still have some identity, because if we speak with shuffle people, you have like some OGs, you have some like actual dancers, but they have already identity and they can like speak about raves, speak about hard style or like hard techno, like all that. It's like identity music, identity as a clothes, identity as a dancers, how they feel, like all of this kind of things, right? And the spaces that they share. So in shapes, actually, I think you have the same, but you don't speak about that, right? Like I saw that you have some new meetups at Barcelona about shaper meetups, but you don't have something like a identity that you can share right now. Like all of you can dance shapes, but you don't have like a really big and unit identity that can be described by the foundation, but it describes too by the emotions of dancing, you know? So maybe if we have like a reverse research, like we try to see which identity you need, all of you, or all of us, and then maybe we can find the foundation from the past and from the present.
I disagree. You can go back to the clubs in the UK when shuffling was banned. People were wearing caps that were saying "obey" there. Even those swag shirts, like whatever was the brand, you could not get into the clubs like this because you were already gonna be identified as a shuffler. And not having this here in Barcelona, we also had our own identity, which was wearing all black with white sneakers from Huaraches to NMDs to other shoes that were popular at this time. But you could come to a meetup, there would be 60 people there, and 20 or 30 of us would have the same shoes and the same outfit. And you could tell apart like he's a shaper, he's not a shaper. So I think this is quite telling of our identity as a collective, and not only when it comes to clothes, but also as music, with the revolution of deep house in UK and then future house to bass house to now bassline. People are listening to a lot of bassline, speed garage, and way more genres. This tells us apart and is just enormous, and it's a very huge cultural shift. So I think that's enough of a reason to disagree with your statement.
Yeah, I mean, like you can have an identity, but personally, I don't know if it's the same identity in all the world. I mean, people from Latin America have, I mean, the same style clothing, the same identity as like feeling of part of the shapers of UK, for example. I mean, I don't know. It's just like an ad that maybe that is what can help to have nowadays a foundations.
Right. So just look back a couple of years ago. You can go to Spain, you see these outfits Guerrero, Jordi were wearing, how they influence the whole scene. And then you can go to Vietnam, you see DMD and most shapers alike wearing the same clothes with the Yeezys, all black with the caps, even with these face masks on. And then you could have the same thing in Ecuador, Colombia, and such other places in the world. And then with Russia as well. Like that is our identity. It can be quite minimalistic, but I don't think we need to wear quite much of a different suits just to remark a difference. But we're just simple as we are, because we are just people that one day we decided to go out and dance, and we sort of resemble each other, but it's not that we wanna we want to highlight ourselves with how we look, but more of how we dance.
I think it's also not really important what you're wearing as a dancer. Of course, it gives like people they want to wear a special outfit if they want to dance. But I think for me personally, the outfit doesn't make the identity. The identity comes from the music and from the dance itself. How you look like, what you're wearing should be not the important thing. The important thing for me when I see shapes is the execution and also the expression to the music, and not the outfit what you wear. Of course, you had it maybe in the past or also in the present, but as Daniel said, it's not by everyone, right? So not everyone needs to wear that. So the identity comes more from the music and from the expression. So that's what I've seen. It's also by us shufflers. We have, for example, when we look back to the 90s, or let's say the 2000s, people they wearing and still wore the fat pants, so the white pants. And I have wear that, for example, one time in my life, whole in my whole life. So, and I don't like that. So it doesn't make it for me like that I don't identify myself as a shuffler. No, it doesn't. So it's just that I don't like the taste of this outfit, but the identity comes from the music and also where this dance is coming from the rave culture. And even if we look in the present, not everyone wears that. People from Australia, people from China, especially in China. In China, the scene is very huge. Angel knows that too, for example. Even in Russia, some people wear it. And even in South America, for example, in Venezuela, in Brazil, in Mexico, for example, too, in Middle America, I mean, but also in Chile, and in Peru, it was very common that they wear these pants, but it's just like how you can add a touch to your dance, but not the full identity that comes from different things.
So, do somebody want to say something more about?
Hola, ¿se me escucha bien? Yo quisiera añadir algo. Bueno, más que añadir, es un poco responder a lo que menciona Lotus, y yo no sé si estarán de acuerdo conmigo, pero para lo que ha vivido probablemente nuestro estilo en los últimos 10 años, yo considero de que la vestimenta sí es muy importante, porque básicamente es cómo se ha desenvuelto la comunidad y el estilo a través de los años. No, es muy imposible no darse cuenta de diferencias de vestimenta, de cómo nos vestíamos hace 8, 10, 9 años a cómo nos vestimos ahora, como mencionan mucho en el grupo, porque literalmente casi todos los estilos de danza tienen un estilo de un estilo de vestimenta. No es, por ejemplo, tú ves a una persona caminando por la calle y si tú ves, no sé, unos pantalones holgados, por los oversize, lo asocias a lo mejor con un bailarín de hip hop o de cualquier, y así sucede con prácticamente muchos estilos de danza. Si hablamos un poco de los foundations, yo considero mucho de que la vestimenta es parte de identificar los foundations de nuestro estilo, que tenemos que hacerlo porque siento de que nos estamos perdiendo mucho en la conversación de que sí, que el paso que que el paso que el otro, que está bien, pero si no, así nunca vamos a llegar a un acuerdo entre todos. Y bueno, yo les quería decir eso más que nada porque he venido escuchando todo esto y esto ahora me preocupa que incluso nadie esté notando y espero que alguien esté notando todo lo que se está hablando. Sé que igual va a quedar grabado, pero necesitamos también un moderador para esta conversación porque si no nos alejamos demasiado de lo que estamos aquí para realizar. Y nada, los amo a todos.
I agree on what you say. Opino lo mismo. El tema de la vestimenta creo que es importante en una gran mayoría de estilos.
Just to change a little bit on the topic and about terminologies and stuff, I want to highlight what Bernan did on his workshop when we went to Russia, which is highlighting as well the importance of how we are gonna be naming the armwork, because Angel was talking about it before. And if you see videos from the UK, or if you go to the UK yourself, you're gonna see how people are doing some rolls, some pointing, some looking, and some other terminologies. And I would say that this is a very, very, very important part of our culture as well, that it has
Yes, I
been
agree.
lost. And Bernan did this perfectly in his class.
I want to add something here that Cloud say something about Guerrero in the past, and I can. So in the past, Guerrero and me, when we try to develop this artwork, it was not focusing on UK. It was just a lot of people were asking us like, okay, I learned this combo, but I don't know what to do with the arm. So we start like trying to develop something, but it was never focused on what people from UK. In my case, I remember that I saw this Don Simpson video. He was doing some arm work, but it was not from these clubs. I think his arm work in that moment, I thought like it was from Tectonic. I know now nowadays it's Electro, but I remember seeing these nice moves in a video, and I tried to copy him, and then I added to the dance. But I was never thinking about, oh, this is cutting shapes because I'm cutting some shapes. No, it was just, oh, I see this guy that I like how he is doing these shapes, and he do arm work, is the only one who is mixing this good, so I will try to copy. So then Guerrero and I, we start trying to create our own things, but it's not specific things like roll, like these things that you can see with people from UK. So yeah, I think nowadays when you go to Russia, you can see that people is not moving the arms, are just like balancing, but in intention. And in other countries it happens absolutely the same, and they have these big problems because they are too focused on the combos and the footwork, not with the arm works. So I also agree that we need to focus on that.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Maybe we can make stop here and come back to the to one of the main things maybe for this call. So then next day we can just make our proposals and how we see the foundation, like from the different communities, collectives or crews. And so yeah, I think everybody here want to see the in shapes foundation written somehow. So maybe as one of the main things in the presentation, we can just create or be part of some kind of federation of different communities, again, collectives or crews. And if somebody has another idea on how we can all be together on this, and I don't know in English the word, but delegar tareas, delegar roles, just to make different roles for this, again, collective or common federation. So yeah, do you agree with on doing something like this, or do you have other idea?
I would asking in my community where you are a member too, if someone feels also to take a role for this project too. And what also is my suggestion is for upcoming events, and I'm not talking about TSL only, I'm talking about every event, like what Alison also did with her project Well-Being, that, for example, you, Bernan, take the mic and saying like, hey, I'm the head of the Shaper Zone Collective, and we are discussing about the foundation or about innovative topics. And if you are interested to it, if you want to contribute something, we would appreciate you to be part of it, and maybe you can bring also your contribution that you or let's say all the people from the shape scene get clarity about the dance and also knows what they are doing and not like please don't take it so hard, but not being confused at all when it comes to mixing something and blurring everything that the person doesn't know what they dance. It's not important to say that in a mic, of course, but I think that's also an offer. Go to events, and when you have the opportunity, take the mic or speak with the organizer before, and then ask the people if they are interested, like increasing the interest in general. And maybe also people from Japan, from Russia, or in other communities and countries are interested to be part of it, which makes the project later more successful.
Okay, so again, I make the question like, would you like to create a collective to keep like making these discussions and all of this? Or do you have any other ideas? And if you agree on doing this, what kind of different roles should exist?
I'm up to it, even if I'm not a shaper at all, but I'm starting to learning it, hopefully, in the future very soon. But when it comes to roles or like positions for a collective, I would say in every country or community you have the head, like a director or like a leader inspired by a crew, for example. And then you have also like mates or people they are interested in it. If they have a role, maybe for writing a protocol or making some PDF files or PowerPoint presentations to exchange that with others. but also like when it comes to global cults, like right now, that the heads are there, and even also the other people from the collective, from the country. What you said in the beginning, that they have also the opportunity to speak, but let's say that we have a person in the collective from the country that directs it, like take the responsibility. But I think also in every country we will be working that a little bit different because of the, I would say, temperament of the person or persons. But which could help is that they have, let's say, calls like every 2 weeks, and also speaking then with you, Bernan, and transferring you the information before it comes to global calls. So that will be my suggestion for it. My English goes down. I have too much talking English the whole weekend.
So, who could be part of this collective? Like, what would be the criteria that would make someone fit in? Because if you take the big people from a community, let's say South Korea, they don't even consider their dance style as cutting shapes, they just call it shuffle. So, how are we going to pick them as representatives?
So
Well,
when I
okay.
sorry, make you can make first. I can wait.
Okay. So I think that well, actually, if they don't consider cutting shapes as a dance or a specific dance, they can still be part of creating or understanding the foundation, you know. And as said before, selecting like 2 representatives in their community. I don't know if they are 30, whatever, and they want to be part of this. So they select 2 representatives. They can all be here, of course, and they all can talk, but just to take part of this, you know.
Mhm. I had an interview with a shuffler from South Korea in the last year. So he is, by the way, also the judge for TSL this year. And I was asking him, for example, if he sees cutting shapes on shuffle, and he said definitely no, he doesn't. When it comes to considering cutting shapes as an own dance, that people doesn't do that, it's not because they don't want to do it, it's because they haven't learned it. When it comes to social media, when we talking about wrong using of hashtags or spreading of misinformation, it goes to the people and it still remain by their heads. But it doesn't mean that they can't learn new things or like changing their minds or like increasing their horizon in it. Um, I would not exclude it directly that, for example, if they didn't consider it as their own dance, that they don't have the chance to be part of it.
So somebody have an idea of what different roles we can have?
So, some roles would be research, then make sure that we have the reach that it gets to all the communities in the world, even if in a country there's only one dancer. And then some other aspects would be teaching as well, because okay, now you have the research, but how are you gonna apply that knowledge? And then I wouldn't say there's much more to it. It's just that it has to get to all the parts in the world, of the world, sorry.
Well, I think if we are a majority, we're gonna have a big voice to be able to spread that to everyone. If we are here, it's for a reason. So if everything concludes in a good way, someone will spread the right information.
Any other role that maybe should be interested to have in this common, this collective federation, or how you want to call it?
Also a translator, because the information has to be passed from one language to another, and that is highly important as well. Yeah, shuffle police as well.
Stop saying that, Dagnia. Why?
I read it on the chat because Angel said it. But well, we could also use this shuffle police term. So let's say we're doing research, right? We have to verify that information somehow. So that's how the police would act, as a sort of detectives.
It sounds a little bit sarcastic. For example, you reading something on Instagram, or you're spreading something, and then there's coming a group. Hey, we are the shuffle or shapes police. So no, that's not allowed. It's not allowed. So no.
Yeah, but it's not in the term of saying what you can do or what you cannot do, but it's in relation to, hey, we want to check out this information because we're just not going to simply establish something that you just check up on the internet, but it has to be a consensus. It's not just one person that is going to just certify something. It has to be a lot of people.
Agree. I agree.
I think it's kind of as a joke, right? But just imagine that someone is teaching on like a wrong, very, very name of a step, and then we agree, let's say, till 2 years that everything is set, right? And everyone on the internet is just spreading misinformation. And then let's say this organization say, hey, I seen your video. This is not the right information. We had a call like a long time ago about this. Everything is set. This is the information you should provide the people, or this is the information you have to look up, because I think it's very crazy. We give everything to the person, and then the person can change anything.
Yeah, it does not mean that it has to be something bad, but we just want the best for the culture, right? So saying, hey, you're doing things wrong, like we have established something and these things need to be respected because we're a culture. And if you're teaching this culture, you cannot just simply do whatever you want because it's simply not right. Like it's not coming from a moralist way of seeing things, but it's just like this is us, like respect us because this is our culture, we are fighting for it, and it's not that you just can come up here and establish your own basis because it's just not how the things go.
I agree 100%. And I think every single one of us, we spend hours and years provide information, and that's why we are here. So hard to say that we are wrong if we are looking for it, and we still are. I think it would be a good idea.
I think something very important as a future collective or federation of different collectives, communities. This is our approach as federation, So it's not like a dictatorship or something like this. It's just our approach as different federations, and I think we should be open to whatever other ideas from other people, communities, and whatever. But yeah, I think we should understand this as a collective approach, about the foundation and what's the dance and how should be taught. Sorry. Does somebody want to say something more about this? Maybe other different role? So I just wrote here reachers and translators by now, so it can be developed in the future. Maybe we all together agree that we need, I don't know, some kind of technique, I don't know, whatever other thing. So I just wrote here reachers and translator.
I had an experience or like a talk with a person from Austria where I've seen that's also maybe a part of the shuffle police, blah blah blah. She was she has uploading in her story a cutting shapes video, but called it as a shuffle, and I was like, hey, I don't want to ruin your mood, but it is not shuffle, it is cutting shapes, and it is an own dance, and she was like, hey, I don't care because my students knows that as a shuffle. They doesn't know the term cutting shapes because they would not understand it. And I'm thinking like, it will be difficult then also later for the future for you shapers if you spreading the word also me that we maybe come to such I would say such examples like her. They're not accepting that this is an own dance or not like accepting that this name is considered by this dance and call it as a dance, which is not actually the dance. Like I would call jump style as shuffle too. What do you think would the jumpers do then if I would do that? I don't want to be in this position for it, so that's why I meant we need this clarity, or also you need the clarity later when it comes to teaching, when it comes to education, when it comes to protocol writing and so on, and that we have something for the people like, hey, that was not the right knowledge or that was not the right information. Here we have something for you. Of course, it is an approach, as Brennan said, but I think it's very clear for all of us that it is important that this dance has also a system or like and structure of how you spread the dance and not having persons stay blurring their history or like switching that. That's like you working for the dance and they're working against the dance. So it should be lower or like decreasing the people and they open their mind even if they don't accept it for the moment, you know.
So I want to add something here. These last months I've been traveling a little bit and teaching, and every time I had this opportunity, I try to explain to the different teachers that are having these academies or these programs of cutting shapes and shuffle, but they most of them say shuffle. And one of the problems is that some people maybe understand, but one thing is the theory and the other is the practice. um, some of these teachers maybe understand what's the difference, but even for them it's hard to understand, because let's say how you can explain that is a style if there's no specific fundamentals, because we are talking about the foundation. So how you can explain a style if there's no fundamentals? Maybe for me are ones, for Bernard and others, for Sequor others. So that's the problem. But imagine that we understand this, but when it comes from the teachers to explain to their students, some of them just have the cutting shapes essence. They don't have this Melbourne shuffle style. So it's so hard to explain to a new student that they maybe just have seen in TikTok cutting shapes video with the hashtag shuffle, and when they come to these classes they ask, oh, I want to dance this, but maybe they don't care. And even the teacher tried to explain, it's so hard if they don't have both essence, because at the end it's like, okay, maybe you are telling me that there's a difference, but when I see you are my teacher and you're just doing cutting shapes, I will, at the end I will think it's shuffle, even you explain me, because it's so hard to see the difference. um for example, if you now you take someone doing hacken, you can easily see that hacken, even if he is doing some footwork, the groove that they have or the essence that they have is completely different. But this with some teachers is so hard to explain if they don't have both essence to show it, not just explain it by theory. And I understand that some of these teachers have this mistake in the moment that they want to explain it.
All right. So thank you. If you in the next minutes want to say something more about this, we can be talking, of course. So the main topic is about how we can like create a federation or collective, something we are all in when it comes to making a common approach to a foundation for the dance. So yeah, this is all when it comes to this point to create a federation. So do you have some other point about this so we can continue, and maybe we can finish in 20 or 30 minutes so it doesn't get very long. And if it doesn't, if you don't have nothing more to say about this federation, maybe next day we just assume the people that want to assume different roles. Yes.
So I would adding some point to Anderson's opinion. Of course, I have also experienced the thing, even by me. But when it comes to clarifying the dance styles, that the person knows what is what, um, it's not only necessary to know the theories, it's also necessary to know the practical ways you can demonstrate it. And if you can't do it, then you need also to say it, um, for example, saying, yeah, this is still shuffle. If it, if you know, not you like Anderson, but I take this as an example. If the person knows that this is not shuffle, but said it is a shuffle, it's also like damaging for the culture and giving it. And if you can't do it, perform this kind of dance, then you should be able to recommend this person to another one who is maybe more well known to the dance. And even if the person who wants to learn, sorry for the word, does give a fuck about it, but sooner or later, when the person is getting more interested, the person will start in questions like, hey, I have learning these things, but I'm not sure if these things are really related to the dance, you know? So it is both. You need to have the theory and you need to have the practical way. Otherwise, it's like when I, for example, would teach shapes right now, without understanding the dance, without using the dance in general, it will be more damaging the culture and the community than helping. So it's also a part of being honest to yourself as a teacher and also being a student later if you have or if they have this kind of, let's say, problem.
¿Qué ha pasado? Hola.
Okay, Lotus. So we can maybe just spend the next minutes just trying to come back again to the to when we were talking about the different aspects of the foundation, like vocabulary or other terminologies to different techniques or movements that are the foundation. I think it's important also. I said that don't talk just about a step as a foundation, because foundation is more than just the vocabulary in general. So I don't know if you want to come back about to something about maybe um, maybe we can just take the vocabulary to the end of the topic of the foundation, and we can make an approach to the different techniques or other elements of the foundation. So if somebody wants to start. But you can say whatever you want, Angel. I mean, everybody. This is open for everybody. Can express what they think. Yeah, technique, like different techniques about movement that we use to dance in shapes. For example, in hip hop, they have like bounce, rocking, and other dances have other elements when it comes to like technique or movement. So I'm talking about this.
So, for example, these double bounds that we were saying, I don't know if it means this, but also, for example, the hips. I realized that in cutting shapes, one of the most important things when it comes from the footwork, not in the upper body, the hips are one of the most important things. But I don't know if you want to say this or a different thing.
I mean, it's about to be open, like you said. For example, you think the hips are very important, and maybe the rest of the people agree with it. So maybe we can find a terminology or understanding an approach for this movement, for this technique. In my opinion, I think it's part of the foundation, like some kind of hip twist that we use for the footwork.
Yeah, I think it's nice if we try to find a way to explain this, because the more I was teaching, the more I realized that people were struggling a lot with this footwork just because they were not using the hips. Because anyone teach this, and you just understand when you really understand how cutting shapes work. So yeah, I think it's good. It could be nice to have a name to this move or this technique.
Does somebody want to talk about this? In my opinion, I think is important talk. Maybe if somebody is against this idea or have another idea for it. So what do you think?
I agree with what Anderson said about the hips. But then this is just one aspect. Then we have the music, then we have the clothes, then we have the steps, then we have the context, the other dance styles. So we would need to say like, okay, these are the elements that define our foundation, something that we could do which can be good, taking inspiration from other dance styles. Let's say select 10 to 20 dance styles and see what are their foundations, so we sort of can relate to what they did, and if they also had this problem back in the day. That's what we need to do, because we could start a foundation right now, but we need to do it properly.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there are a lot of things that already tells us apart. A lot. Yeah, exactly. But even if they have it, we could have made our own name. This is the steps. I don't know if you saw what I sent before about the scissor steps and the moonwalk that I sent before from Mr. Shapes. It's just the same thing, but with different terminology. But it's just agreeing. It's just agreeing. But what happens if it doesn't get to the other part of the world? So that's what we have to do. This like we have to span our reach, and this has to be created by us and the ones that have the power to get to other countries.
So,
Maybe sorry. Maybe we can take references of the twist, the dance twist, or maybe other dances that use the yeah, like you said, Anderson, like the hips. I don't know if you have other idea of other dance, but maybe the twist and how they call to that technique element maybe can be a good idea. Actually, I've
Kevin,
always referred to it as hip twist.
Kevin, el término de caderas en salsa caleña, ¿cómo es el acercamiento? O no sé si, well, I'm gonna speak in English. So I don't know if you have attended or even yourself done classes in English. How is it thought, the process of teaching this hip twist that in salsa caleña they do?
Rotación es
Yeah, so it's basically the same because it's a notion.
yeah,
It's a
it's a
motion.
rotation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotation, internal rotation or external rotation. But
Mhm.
yeah, I used to explain it as twist, but that's me.
Mhm.
It's not like I've had heard that before from salsa dancers. It's just that it's easier for me to explain it like that. But yeah, rotation.
Mm. Yeah, that would be that. Some other things
All
like
right, so
sorry, some other things like the influence of other dance styles, like coming from drum and bass and I don't know ska, because they influence the dancers from the UK and then they implement it like the X step. That step they didn't used to do it, and then Simon Bowles and Dom like incorporated it there. So that is also a key element. Kanking, yeah. Yeah.
I think is very important to have that in mind, the ska influence and so.
Yeah, because in the UK during the 50s and 60s there was a massive influx of Caribbean immigrants, and that's what brought all this mix and blend of cultures to the UK. So even in the UK, they would have battles that they would categorize it as a shuffling, not as the shuffling from Melbourne, but just shuffling as a term, even before Melbourne was a thing. And this was originated back in Jamaica, even if there's not much information online, which is sad. And some of the thing, which is Angel mentioned Banseco here, and is that the other day I read on a comment that she was talking about um, cutting shapes being under or not being under the umbrella, and that's why she still calls it like that. And by having someone with that reach, like going against us, against what the culture wants, is not is counteractive to us. Like it's not good for the culture as well. Like we all of us that are here know it already. So these are the 2 points that I wanted to highlight.
Well, honestly, I don't take her serious anymore because she is switching her opinion uh, one time per year, and if a person is switching their opinions from a person themselves so often, it's nothing against the person, but I cannot treat the person with full seriously. Sure, she makes mistakes. Sure, she harmed the culture and she harmed the communities in both scenes. Um, but this is also not talking behind her back. I'm not a disrespectful person like this, but this is also the price of how you're abusing your reachment if you are famous in social media. Um, and that she's not learning from the mistakes, or let's say that she doesn't have a proper opinion, proves to me that I should not listen to this person. And maybe she will change her mind. I don't know. But I want to say something about which was interesting about the shuffle as a term. Of course, the people doesn't have the internet or doesn't have the internet in the past because it was not there or very expensive. Um, what also the mistake was is that people doesn't document it by writing or by making newspapers like that. Even in the 90s, when we shufflers and the shapers got their first development, I would say, it happened at the same time sometimes, like 1992, where Thornhill um, getting more famous about his shuffling. And at the same time in Melbourne, there were a TV show which played 48 hours where the people were animated to dance in front of the TV. Um, so it's also like hard because the evidence is only till this time, but not who's creating that or like who's using the word first. It also comes to how you define a dance and when you define a dance, and if you doesn't define it before, it's just a word, but not a dance in general, like what you said with shuffle as a term. But it's also like a little bit confusing for me when I also investigating for the history, and then I'm hearing, yeah, the word shuffle was using before, or was adopted from UK to Melbourne, blah blah blah. It gave an article from the newspapers, which was also in the shuffle timeline, which states it is shuffle and it's Melbourne's own, so they claimed this dance to themselves. But yeah, again, I think the most difficult thing was in the past that rarely people documenting documenting it by writing, by making notes, by bringing it to the newspapers. There are some articles, but they came not so often, and people were not so able right now, or like right now, to go in front of the people and talking to them, you know? It's like a revolution of the technique and also the revolution of how we communicate to each other.
All right. Thank you, Lotus. So okay, just going back so we don't get too very lost about the foundation elements. So I'm gonna write here hip twist as terminology and element as foundational element. Do everybody agree here that can be named like this, or the element is part of the foundation?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I agree.
everybody here.
Thibaut, qu'est-ce que tu fais?
J'écoute, j'écoute.
Estoy
Hey,
escuchando.
quelque chose?
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna write here, and we got some approach there. Okay. Cool. So maybe we can go back again to as Daniel was saying before about this arm work and this also like a shape shifting or cut shapes element when it comes to moving our arms and part of the upper body. So maybe we can talk about this now. Who wants to start?
Oh, I have a question here because when I was practicing, I realized that if you try this, maybe Running Man, Diagonal Running Man, or Charleston, like without any variations or crazy combos, the arm work it fits. But when it comes with all these variations, like crazy variations, your arm, you can't do nothing with the arm. You just can't balance. And this is something in the UK, like they were not doing this combo. So it's something that we create in Spain. So and then it has developed in Colombia and in Russia. But there's something here because if we said okay, the arms are are part of the foundations, but when we try to do some specific fast moves or something, we can use the arms. So it's at some point hard to fit with this with the foundation.
But it was not only Spain. There were more countries. You had the Netherlands, you had Germany, you have Cyprus, you have Italy. There were way more countries than just Spain. Even the UK itself. Like Willie G didn't do artwork all the time. Or even Jess was not just Spain. And Bernard, what you said about what people used to do in the UK, I would also add like bending your body because people used to bend their bodies a lot and stretch it from side to side, up to down, do some jumps, and then also squatting to do some rolls with their arms at the same time that they're doing that. So it was not only the arms, but it was the whole body. Even if they were not shuffling at the time, because you can see them, they are doing some minimal T steps, and then they suddenly stop to sort of play, to sort of dabble with some moves with the arms, and then bend their bodies. You can see this in Against One Stop or even from Mr. Shapes in his YouTube videos. That was something unique, and that is part of that culture. So if you have what you taught in Russia, so that people can see with all these terminologies, I think they would understand it way better.
In my opinion, like the evolution of the dance, I think is very focused, of course, in the footwork and how we are developing in the different parts of the world the footwork. So I think everybody here, maybe I'm wrong, but I think everybody here think that this, as Anderson said in the beginning of the call, that is being lost, or it's even completely lost. So when we go back, maybe it depends on when, because for example, if we consider that Leroy Thornhill or other dancers were making like some kind of proto cutting shapes, actually there was not too many movements when it comes to arms. Actually, like there is too developed movements when it comes to arms. Then after I got shapes and all these videos on YouTube, it looks a little different. And if we take these videos from 2011, 2012, they're in UK. Yeah, we can say like it's been lost now in the present. So I don't know what you think about from when, sorry, we should take the cutting shapes form and part of the foundation when it comes to our movements. I think that maybe should be a good point.
So for me, I don't know if there's a specific moment, but if I have to tell now, imagine like we take all shapers all around the world. I think that the ones who are adding arms in the dance, like on purpose or with some intention, maybe it's just like 5% of all people, or maybe 10%, because mm, I think some of them, for example, I realized that if I just do shapes, my upper body looks like so stiff. So I start to try to develop my own groove, my own artwork, and I feel that I got more connected with the music. But the same when you go to Russia or you go to other countries, you see that they are not doing nothing. So it's like, okay, imagine that now we say, okay, this is the foundations, but how you can explain? For example, I sometimes explain like, oh, you can do some rolls, you can do these cuts, you can do with bow that in this groove, but there's no specific rule or specific way to explain, because some of my students say like, okay, I understand what you mean, but I can develop my own way to do it just by what you're explaining. um, and when I was with M de la Creme doing Magda, when I was doing choreo, she was teaching me this electro swing. And I saw that literally there's a specific moves with a specific arm movement. So it's like, okay, if you do this move, you have to do this with your arm. And you have to be so precise. In that moment, I realized that cutting shapes is so free, but how you can explain this essence, because it's not just I cut the air or I do a roll. Sometimes it have a specific essence that in my case I was focusing a lot with people from UK, or as I was saying in Don Simpson, that he have these moves, or later with Simon Bowles. But I don't know how to say, like, you can explain it, but the essence is different. And I think like some people have this essence, and it's so hard to explain it.
Yeah, for example, I just wrote there like different sketch about what we think, maybe an approach of us as collective, like a shape person as collective. Like it's not just something from me or something like this. It's about a discussion we previously did as collective. So when we talk about this armwork movement, we just wrote there like let it out armwork as terminology, just our approach to understand it. And we just, as Danny and you said, Anderson, before, roles in different pointings, and also this terminology, like we can call, or was called like shape shifting, that can be like cuts or cut shapes or something like this. And in my opinion, also I see like roles, of course, and different kind of something I think is important that maybe we don't talk too much about it is the swings and the throws. Swings and throws. So don't necessarily doing like pointings or rolls or different cuts or something like this, but also like different like swings movement, like for example a director of orchestra that do with the arms, right? Like different movements sides to side, so like swinging their arms, so something like this. I don't know how you see this. And also we wrote there some kind of locks or maybe freezes or lockings of the movement, or even like when we talk about freeze, maybe a dime stop. So we stop in one moment, usually happens in the club, but yeah, this is like our approach and our terminology to describe it. But and there, let it out. We just, well, in my from my point, I just heard this terminology. I think it was somebody from UK, but I don't remember who. So this is not our terminology, but it was I heard in the past, but I don't remember from who. So it's just our approach for the terminology and the elements for this arm work. So yeah. And for example, sorry again, and when you talk about this step that was like turkey, I don't remember, turkey legs or something like this. I don't remember now the
Turkey
name.
Struts.
Okay.
That's another some info.
Okay. So all right. So, for example, you can see these swing movements in that step or variation of step or whatever it is. So so yeah, actually, in my opinion, also, I believe that you don't necessarily. I mean, when it comes to develop the style or the movement, of course, footwork is fundamental. But actually, you don't need to do like footwork to be grooving and to be dancing to cut in shapes. So it comes from I believe it comes from the groove, the movement. So you can be doing this let it out arm work elements and grooving. And just by that, you're actually already dancing to cut in shapes. So I don't know, what do you think about this? So maybe you can say something about this.
When it comes to groove, I have heard in a video from Buddha Stretch where he was talking about groove as well. And it kind of makes a lot of sense what he was saying. It was more the musicality thing of grooving. Of course, you dancing with your body if you are grooving, but he was explaining that the groove is the center of the music. When you have, for example, have on the right the claps, on the left the melody, and in the middle you are staying, and you can switching to both directions, or you can combine it. For example, with the bounce, or uh, have the groove. But I think groove morally come from the music instead of body motion. I would say that the body motion is like the second important thing, but more important is the music for grooving.
I also agree about the music that I think it's a really important thing. Because I think the groove of cutting shapes, you can create this kind of groove when you dance some music from 120 to 130, but if you try to dance to 140 or 150, you can't groove. So there's no timing to groove or to create this disconnection. So I think like maybe I don't want to specify a style like tech house or deep tech, something like this, because I think all comes from this house combined with techno. But it's 120 and 130. It's if it's just 100, then it's too slow. If it's 140, as I said, it's too fast. So I believe it's 120, 130, but I don't know. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't say it's only about house and techno, but considering the UK and again the mix of cultures that it has, you have to put there ska, you have to put reggae, you have to put jungle, you have to put grime, you have to put garage, you have to put all these dance styles that just created the culture. Because when it comes to deep tech, and as some of you know, I'm a producer as well, there's a huge context of sampling people, sampling interviews, sampling hip hop. A lot of hip hop is being sampled from there, so it's not only about electronic, but all the artists that have contributed to the movement are now around 40 to 50 years old and come from that 80s 90s culture, and they brought it to the sound of deep tech through that. So that's what I have to say. And by the way, I have sent the Turkey Trots reference, as you may see in the Turkey Trots number 2 and in the other ones as well. It's just that notion of putting your feet, of pushing your feet back and then putting it back together. And it's the exact same notion that they do in the clubs in the UK. There's another step that is called trenches, which is more slidey, yet it's also similar. But when it comes to defining what we do, our motion, this one is like the most accurate. I'm gonna look for the trenches step so you can check it out as well. But if you want to call it running man with a push or a slide or whatever, it could also be considered as valid. Yet the context is way deeper, and it goes back to jazz.
I was watching the video and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, but for me, it's not the same as what Jose said. Like I understand the balance. Okay, we have these incadences, but I think it's not the same as. Wait, as this one, I'm going to put it in the chat. What Jose said. I don't know. Like, for me, it's not the same, but I don't know. Whatever you think.
Yeah, actually, I don't see it neither. Like, I don't see like some clear close to that movement, and I actually believe it can be like a specific movement or step, but I don't see like too much like closeness to this movement. Turkey trots. I don't actually see it like very similar. But anyways, I really see that maybe if it is not like kind of variation for the running man, because actually there are those arm movements. So I actually think right now that is a specific step, but I don't know how can it be named or what's the actual name for it. But again, I don't see like too much similarities.
Like where is it not the same? Because it's the same motion, yet one is more intense than the other one.
Well, I think that, as Bernard said, something that I realized that when I try to explain this step to people, just like showing the step, they literally don't get it. But when you try to explain through Running Man, like, okay, we go the Running Man and we do this well, this hopping, and in the moment you start like doing this swing with the legs, like going behind, they every like it can be like 10 people and explaining through Running Man, they get it literally, they get the essence so quick. But if you just do like this balance front and the back, they don't get it as this way. So I usually explain like as a Running Man, like a kind of Running Man variation, to make it easier. But yes, like these turkey trots, I don't see the similarity with the video that Jose sent. That's the only thing, that maybe it's another step that we have in cutting shapes, yes, but not as the video that Jose have with L shapes.
Yeah, but like the step that I send is the way that they do it in jazz dances, not applied to our dance styles. So it would be the same as comparing a hip hop running man to our running man. But it's the same motion itself. Like you're doing the same with your feet, even if it's a different length or a different intensity. It's the same motion. Like you can see both clips, and both are the same.
I'm watching them here in my phone because I cannot actually like I don't know why I cannot play it here from the computer. But here watching in the phone, I still don't see that similarity. Honestly, like I don't
The
get it.
turkey trots too.
Yeah, I watch it, but I don't.
Yeah, look at the first seconds, the first 2 seconds, because after that they do it more minimally. But the first 2 seconds, look at the woman on the right, and she's doing that pushing, that pushback.
I don't know because actually this what they're doing there in this video is trying to, in my opinion, they are trying to make a running man, but it's not
But it's from
like
jazz. It's
well
from
done.
jazz. Like jazz comes before all running mans and all the yeah, all of that related. Like this step, the turkey trot is coming back from the 20s, when the running man is way after that.
Do you have like old videos of this movement?
Yeah, even when they're doing Charleston with it, like there are a lot of it. Since it's jazz, you have a lot of footage, which is the good thing.
Do you have any video that they are changing like left, right? Because I see now that they are maybe like the right leg is in the front and the left leg is in the back, but they are not doing like left and right, back. That it's what is more the essence of the step. But I don't know, like if you have a video of that, it will be
Yeah, I'm gonna
nice
look
to
for
see.
it.
From my point and what I've seen, And research when it comes to footage, I've never like seen. I've never like seen this movement as you sent it here.
Well, and then Mr. Shapes called. I saw us send the video as well. He called it the moonwalk.
Yeah, but looks like more like a Running Man variation or
But
Running Man variation.
I'm just saying how he called it. Now I'm sending one that they just mentioned the turkey trot. Even it may surely be a whole different variation. And maybe in some dancers we can get to witness how they do it differently. But as how we do it exactly, I have never seen exactly something like that. So, and some of them say turkey trot and it looks like a Charleston. Look at this one that I'm sending now. Literally look like a Charleston.
I'm
That's
watching the
not.
video.
Which one? Little Eva?
The first one, the 1920.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the 1920, I see some patterns of the Charleston, but not a fully one.
Yeah, in the 20s clip, like it's not only about that turkey trot thing. Like you have to decipher what steps are they doing because they're also doing kicks and etc. Which just kicks are now understood as a running man kick when it comes to kind shapes. But in jazz it's just known as kicks.
Okay, I get it.
I'm watching right now.
Right.
I'm going to watch the second one.
En el segundo vas a ver Under, que es como un Charleston, pero sin cruzar las piernas.
Yeah, I've seen the kicks, what you has explained to me. Like the kicks to the outside, like
Yeah.
you're getting an ankle with your knee.
Mm-hmm.
¿En qué segundo o en qué minuto?
Yes, exactly, because I couldn't like see it in the first video, like Savoy Hop.
Yeah, but
I
now,
couldn't
now
like.
I think now Lotus. We are now referencing this kicks, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So
It doesn't look like.
you can let them know about the second that they do it.
So it's like a kick without kicking. It's like you're swinging more the leg, so the under leg more to the side, but it gives you a kick flair, let's say.
So in the second video, let's turkey trots. what I realize when I do this step that Jose and Al Shapes is doing, I think the main essence it comes from the groove. Like the more you groove it, the more you have this swing effect with the leg. But here I see that they are just like putting the leg up. They are not even like moving that much the body. It's just like the leg up. And I think that when you are doing this step, um, it's not just because of the leg. It's because of all the body how it's balanced. But I
Yeah,
don't
like,
know. Like it's the way I
and then you also
execute it.
have, sorry, you have to add to the equation that is done to house music. Like house music is telling your body to put that energy in, which is not the same as some ragtime blues or jazz. It's not the same energy.
I think this is also what the groove is directing you when you listen to different kinds of music, that your body, or like your footwork in this case, is also behaving different. Like when we took funky things, funky house, for example, and more bass house, you see also there a difference of the executions, right? Because the music is directing you to behave different than that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I actually don't like see it.
¿El qué? ¿Las patadas? ¿Los kicks?
No, I mean like this, because you said like this kind of movement or step that is like before the Running Man, that looks like a Running Man or something like this. Like it was dance in the Charleston, and you sent this, but I don't see it here, like the reference for the movement or the movement itself.
No, because it's not the same one as they were doing in the first videos. It's just a different version.
So you mean that is like
But
evolution? Like first at one 1920s, it have this weird way to do it.
No, not necessarily, because you cannot just state that something is evolution when you're basing yourself on two videos. Like there's a lot more to it.
but like the videos you sent, like the first videos from which year? Well, let me see. Wait, sorry. Like it's more from it's actual. They are actual videos. Like
Yeah, it's just a girl called Natalia who has downloaded them and uploaded them.
mm, maybe if what you're saying here, if maybe UK jazz dancers were doing something like this, and there is like footage about it, maybe makes sense your what you're saying. But if we like just like go from this video from the past, like you're saying here, and then to these videos from the present, I don't see like the relation to this movement like Siku send.
Uh-huh.
You know, like for me makes more sense that it can just come from trying to make a Running Man in a different way, and then from the swings and all of this arm movement it was developed. Maybe it's just a theory, but
Yeah, it could
looks
be perfectly.
oh, okay.
Perfectly. The same as the moonwalk. Like why did Mr. Shapes call it like that? And I have just sent Mr. Shapes a message, like sending him about information about this turkey trots and about the trenches, and then ask him that. So let's see if he replies to it.
Hmm. In
Because
my
in that
opinion, I
tutorial,
think. Sorry, what? Sorry.
in the tutorial he says the moonwalk.
But maybe he's referring moonwalk to kind of similarity of, with the backslide, but made from Runningman variation, let's say.
Yeah.
That even it's like not very correct to say moonwalk, because actually the movement, even if not that technique, but the movement is backslide, if I'm not wrong. The
I don't know about that because the first one to do that move was en Resortes, and is a Mexican dancer and actor, and he was in the 40s. So I don't think the name should be backslide. I don't know how he call it, but he is the first one to appear on big screen. I doing the backslide.
Mhm.
maybe
Was
can
it
you
Resort?
send some
Resortes, yeah.
photo?
I'm gonna
Oh,
look for it. Yeah, because there's also a salsa dancer from Cali that is called the Colombian Resortes.
All right.
Mhm.
I have a reference again, Mr. Shape's video, in case you want to watch it. Anderson, si lo quieres ver, lo he puesto ahí. El primer moonwalk.
anyways, in my opinion, I can consider that movement that that we all, even all, yes, we all here like or most of us here do it. This kind of random variation with arms like that, it can be, in my opinion, maybe considered as a singular and a specific step. Maybe should be called in a way.
For
So
me,
I was watching the video, and I think like even that moment he was just dancing, and maybe he thought that this was I don't know, like moonwalk. If we analyze now the dance and we separate the running man in different positions, I think we all see, like I literally see a running man that, but he's just changing and doing the ta 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 ta, not putting the leg down, putting up, but but the way he's doing it, for me, is like running man 100%. I don't know how to explain, but if you like, si tú desglosas el running man, literalmente es eso, pero estás cambiando la pierna. It's the way I see that. But I don't know, like it's my opinion. I don't even see a moonwalk there. Like he at some point he's doing the moonwalk, but when he do this step, I see a running man. I don't see a moonwalk. But
Yeah, I think exactly the same. Like it's just like when he goes slow, maybe he does kind of a moonwalk or backslide, how it's called. But then he's doing something different, not even like a running man, but maybe a variation for it. But maybe this movement can be called with the arms and UK trots.
you did that.
I like the name UK Trot.
But you go to the clubs, and this is the step that they do the most. They even do this one more than the default running man, so to speak.
I mean, it's the running man that all people do when they try to do the running man and they can't land at the same time with both feet. Like all the
Eh,
time when the legs go up. So maybe they master that.
I'm gonna send a TikTok. I'm gonna send a TikTok. Let's see if I find it. Oh, okay. Mm.
So I'm sending a video that I made 10 years ago, and I took this step for one girl in a video, and I think like this I can tell like is a Running Man mixed with this moonwalk mixed with a Running Man. Like if you do it like this, I can say okay, but at the same I took this step from a girl, but it's not the same for me. It's not the same this one that the other one.
You guys, I need to leave. I have a meeting at 9 or 10 by my physio. Still a little bit injured from the past weeks. It was a pleasure to talk with you here, and also thank you from here. I could learn a lot today, and I'm excited for the next one. So I will upload the recording on a Google Drive folder for you, and you get it. But again, it's maybe not the best quality. To the rest, have a nice evening. Don't make it too long, and stay healthy, guys. So, see you soon.
Thank you, Lotus, and thank you for recording.
Sure.
It's interesting, like the video, but it doesn't look like more to it's kind of
Yeah, because it doesn't have space.
space. Yeah. But it's actually like the same technique or variation of
Como el español, pues esa vaina, pues
Ah,
agarra.
claro, verdad que todo eso.
Bueno,
Y creo que hay otro vídeo donde sí hace el moonwalk desplazando, donde se hace el backslide y lo hace más cortito. O sea, lo hace más que ahí como haciendo el... Estoy buscando.
ok. Si quieren podemos a lo mejor finalizar en 10, 15 minutos e ir como concluyendo esta llamada. Y pues eso yo creo que por lo menos lo que hemos tenido, pues,
Si pudiese
las que
decir,
hemos hecho un acercamiento. ¿Perdón?
si pudiese decir, ¿qué puedes decir?
Uy, se te escucha mal, ¿eh?
No escucho nada, tío.
Se te escucha mal.
No,
Uy, se te
No, no
escucha como si
funciona.
no... Como con mala conexión.
Pago el wifi.
Y ahora,
Ahora sí.
ajá, si pudieses decir en qué puntos se tocaron hoy, qué se completaron, o en qué se progresó, ¿qué podrías decir al respecto hasta ahora?
Vale, pues sí parece... Es una buena idea, ¿no? Comentar lo que acabas de decir y tenerlo como apuntado. Podría hablar de que... Podría decir de que hemos llegado a una conclusión de que podríamos hacer un colectivo o una federación de... Sí, una federación donde diferentes colectivos, barra comunidades, barra crews pueden formar parte de, con sus respectivos integrantes, representantes o lo que sea, y pues que pueda ir creciendo con las personas que, pues, que, no, y comunidades, colectivos, barra lo que sea, que puedan, que quieran formar parte de esto y de tener pues estas discusiones para acercarnos lo máximo posible entre nosotros. Así que yo creo que ese es un punto. El tema de formar un colectivo internacional o una federación. Puedo poner federación por poner un término, que pues se pueda ir modificando o mantener. Que si ahí hablamos, cuando estábamos hablando de esto esta tarde, salió el CSI, sería Cutting Shapes International, que es el CSI, ¿no? La policía, la agencia policial,
El,
el CSI. Pero que bueno, o sea, la idea, ¿no? Por lo menos el concepto de formar una federación o colectivo internacional para seguir, ¿no? Y pues delegar roles que se habían comentado, que podrían ser de momento, ¿no? O ya se verá. Reachers y translators, ¿no? Gente que pueda llegar a la gente y traductores. A lo mejor hay alguna IA por ahí que pueda traducir al instante. Ese sería un punto, ¿no? El de formar una federación. El otro punto, creo que hemos hecho un pequeño acercamiento colectivo de las personas que estábamos aquí, pues en diferentes elementos de la Foundation. Hemos recabado información aquí en el chat también. Y en cuanto a ese approach, tenemos que como terminología el hip twist. Creo que todo el mundo como aceptó de los que estamos aquí esa terminología para ese, o sea, aceptó no solo la terminología, sino el elemento y la terminología para ese elemento. Hip twist o como sea, pero ese concepto como elemento fundamental, elemento básico del cutting. Y el tema creo, bueno, estábamos en ese proceso, que a lo mejor lo podemos concluir, el tema del armwork, las personas que estamos aquí, cómo podríamos llamar a todo ese tal, y si forma parte de la foundation, de la base, ese armwork, ¿no? Con la terminología que se le pueda aplicar, o si ya existe, investigarla, ¿no? Que a lo mejor existe. Sí es verdad que está el tema de shapeshifting por ahí, pero sí es verdad que el tema de roles, pointings y todo eso, pues a lo mejor no... No, en mi opinión, no es como exactamente lo mismo. O sea, el shapeshifting o cat shapes o cats o lo que sea, formaría parte, ¿no? de este artwork, pero no engloba todo el artwork. No sé qué opinan al respecto de eso.
Ya, pero es que shape shifting también podría ser cutting shapes perfectamente.
¿Cómo, perdón?
O sea, lo que estás haciendo tú referencia a armwork o shape shifting también podría ser cutting shapes en minúsculas.
Sí, también. Sí, por ejemplo, ahí ahí que lo pusimos o sea, el esquema este que mandamos por aquí, en ese apartado de parte del artwork, ahí pusimos cut shapes, shape shifting, podría ser cutting shapes también, sí, efectivamente. Pero bueno, el
Yo,
concepto, ¿no?
yo
Quizás
tengo una
entender.
duda en esto porque, o sea, la verdad a mí sí me gustaría enfocarme también en decir, mira, cuando concluyamos más como el artwork, que no obviamente sean solo tres cosas, no roles, pointings, das, sino que realmente hay varias y ahí sabría que mirar. Y cuando estén todas, una es que sepamos cuáles son y la otra es que el 90% de los shapers que existen ahora mismo quieran, sí, no es como que quieran aplicarla, pero claro, si no hacen el artwork, entonces es un foundation y volvemos otra vez un poco a el pasado y el presente. Yo, una de las teorías que tengo es que si tú no haces artwork, no conectas tanto con la música y llegará momentos donde tu baile se verá, vamos a decir de alguna manera, más pobre. O sea, creo que todo el mundo cuando va mejorando en el baile, va indagando más, llega un momento que se da cuenta de que hay que hacer algo con los brazos o que automáticamente los brazos se van a mover y cuando vean esa necesidad, entonces ya querrán aprender. pero al menos por ahora hay gente que al igual simplemente se fija en las piernas, ¿no? Entonces dices, vale, ¿es realmente un foundation si alguien se considera shaper o se le considera shaper y no está haciendo artwork? ¿Se entiende lo que digo?
Sí, bueno, no sería una
Sí.
versión avanzada. O sea, la versión definitiva sería que usases todas esas partes del cuerpo.